I'm going to talk to you a little bit about comic books, run over my career real quickly. We're going to be flashing up here. I used to do it as a PowerPoint, but I thought, it's like, I felt like I was at school giving you reading what's happening here. But what you're about to see here is an expansion of what happened in 1992 when we started Image Comic Books and I came out with Spawn #1. Right? And Spawn, as most of you know, I created it when I was in high school, when I was 16, right? So, and I wrote the plot to 360, which I guess is one piece of news. I'm jumping back onto writing Spawn. Corey McConville was writing Spawn, and I was writing King Spawn, and we decided to swap it. Because Brett Booth is drawing it, and we had some fun on Gunslinger, and it was like, hey man, Brett, let's go, we'll get the band together, right? And so we're going to jump up on there. We had a year of where all the characters didn't have any powers, right? But by next issue, it's actually going to go now from a year of no powers to the opposite. It literally is going to be, they all get their powers back, but it's even going to be more, it's going to be hell on earth, right? So it's going to come from one extreme to the other, and we've got a bunch of books that will be playing into that. One of the reasons for doing a bunch of the books and the miniseries and stuff is that at some point when we were sort of developing some stuff, I got somebody to do a character count in the comic book, and I think it was when we were heading up to issue 300 when we were setting the world's record for 301 of it, and somebody came up with like 1,850. I'm using a round number, but it was in that vicinity. 1,850 characters have been in the Spawn comic book alone. Right now, again, that seems like a big number. That includes policemen and nurses and doctors, and whatever. They're not all valuable, but that's still 1,800 characters, right? And there's a portion of them, 50, 100 of them, that I just thought needed more room to breathe so I could tell those stories. And Spawn, the comic book, was becoming a team book to me. And I didn't want it to be a team book, and I think Spawn works best like Batman when he's alone. And he just is like, it's nighttime, I'm gonna go get the bad guys, and I'm gonna go scare them, right? I just think that's when he's at his best. So I go, I gotta get all the guest stars out, and there was only one way to basically tell their stories, because I didn't want to do it in Spawn. I had to come up with the other books. So it was like, okay, here comes King Spawn, so I have even more room to tell stories about Spawn. Here comes Gunslinger, here comes Scorched. And we were off to the races, and then we have all these other books that we did this year with some great talented people, and that we're going to continue into it. Some will be monthly books, some will be miniseries, some will be one-shots. There'll be a whole wide range of it. Why? Because at some point, I just want all of it to slightly grow, because I don't have the conceit that all of you have to like Spawn. And if you don't like Spawn, I lose you. So I need to give you options. And so what I'm hoping for is that we create these options, which is basically expand the universe, so that you, 10 years from now, we can have a conversation. You go, oh man, that guy over there, Pizza Lad, I mean, that's my favorite character, and I don't really care about Spawn. That's okay. As a matter of fact, that would be successful because I've given you so many options. You guys can sort of move back and forth and pick the characters. So, are somebody going to click those while I'm talking? No, I don't have to read it. Yeah, you go. I don't know. So, yeah, we've got lots and lots. Let me give you a few of the names. Some of the people that are going to be working on it. Gail Simone's going to be helping me with She Spawn. We're going to do another book called The Freak with Jason Sean Alexander. If you guys know Jason's artwork, right? He did So he keeps sending me these texts and go, I freaking love that freak, right? And because all I do, and this is sort of the joy, and my mom didn't understand it, but the joy of doing comic books is when you do a book of the freak, you just get to sit there and come up with insane stuff. And just go, man, wouldn't that be cool if he did that? Because I can't do that because that's illegal. Right? And it's like, but he's a good guy. And he's like, got a reason for it. It's like, oh man, that would be. And so you just start coming up with crazy stuff, and people go, oh. Here's the other thing too. When you do those stories, the neighbors will always be appalled by it, right? Especially usually the lady neighbors, right? They're like, don't go to the McFarlane house, right? They way, it's an interesting thing that just because you write a character does not mean that you are endorsing it. It means you have to come up with a character that's believable. So if you write a movie and the topic of your movie is about a serial killer, I find it hard to believe that the script writer is saying they want people to become a serial killer. But if they can't channel a serial killer in a believable way in their head for that movie, you're not going to watch the movie. So we just have to channel, oh, now I'm writing a doctor. I have to make it a believable doctor. I'm not saying anybody here should go to med school. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that we have to channel these characters. She could ask the question, why is it so easy for you to channel the psycho stuff? Right? So that's a fair question from my wife. That's okay. Because it's all the things you wish you could do that you can't do because it's illegal. Right? Look, if I try to live with very little regret. If I do have one regret, if I do have one regret, I just wish I was born thousands of years ago. And the reason is because I know how I'm wired. And the way that you would solve your fights, and let's go back to like the movie Braveheart. How many of you have ever seen the movie Braveheart, right? So it's a good one. Oh, good. So you guys got the visual. All right, so good. So the way it would go is if I had a complaint with somebody and they had a complaint, there's only two things. You either had to have the guts to stand up for what you believe in. And back then, that meant I would meet you on the battlefield, my blade against your blade. And we go until somebody's head's off. I hope it's not mine, but it's a 50-50 chance. And you go, and you go and you cut. Now here's the thing that my wife doesn't like either, is she goes, yeah, but you're at times, Todd, you can just get mad at people, usually lawyers. You get mad at people sometimes, and then you just don't care, right? I don't care about the enemy. I don't care about him. And here's why. Because if I'm that guy, and I am that guy, and I feel I'm at war every day, and I do, and that's really sort of the psychosis of me. I feel I'm at war every day. Then, if you're in that battlefield and you've seen Braveheart, and you get lucky enough that you get to cut that dude's head off, you got two choices. You can either feel sorry for that enemy that you cut his head off, and if you do, somebody's coming up behind you because you're in the middle of a battlefield and your head will get cut in a second. Or you can cut and turn and go. I feel like I want to live that whole battle, so I'm going to cut, turn, and go. And so I can turn off these emotions. I'll give you an example that horrified my wife still to this day. She's bought some kind of insurance on us or whatever. I don't know. Maybe she's not doing something. But they bring doctors to the house and they have to like do all your vitals, right? And they came, it was a Friday evening. Let me tell you, if you're ever going to yell at lawyers, Friday evenings is the perfect time, right? It's all, and I'll tell you why a little bit in a moment. But I go, Wanda, this is my wife's name, Wanda, it's okay. She goes, you get so worked up. I go, yeah, but the moment I hang up, it's over. I don't care. That's like a rock to me, that person I was talking to. They're like a rock. I don't give a shit. So she's like, no, you're going to die of a heart attack. I'm like, no, Wanda, she doesn't quite understand me still to this day. So anyway, the doctors came and they go, hey, we got to do the vitals for you, Todd. And I'm yelling at a lawyer at this one. And I go, hang on a second. Tell him to do Wanda. I'm on the phone. Get Wanda. Do Wanda first. And I go back to the guy. Blah, 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 blah. And then we go back and forth. And then you get to the point. I said, fine, Monday, we'll get back on the phone. Yeah, screw you too. Boosh. And then the doctors walked in. And then they went, you ready? I was, oh yeah. And then this is the piece that horrified my wife. My wife, who hikes every day and is in great shape, was sitting there going, oh shit, here we go. And then the doctors came and they did it, and my pulse and my blood pressure was as good as hers. Seconds. And on one level, it gave her solace that she's going, oh, he's not gonna die of a heart attack. The other piece I saw in her eyes is, I'm living with a psycho. It's actually true. Yeah, people cut the head and turn and pivot. And here's why I do it to the lawyers, because this is easy and you guys can take this, right? Number one, most people, I think we are emotional first and we are intellectual second. right? Emotional first. You play on the emotion of people, you get them every time. So I just get ornery with lawyers on Friday. Here's what that lawyer, most lawyers, most people, I don't care, business people can't do. They can't just let it go. I can. Turn it off. Hey, Monday, I'll come back to you and I'll turn it back on. I'm well rested. I'm ready to go, right? Not them, right? They hang up the phone and then their friend comes into the office and go, man, what was that about? Oh man, this guy named Todd, and then they just eat and they get a pit nerd. And then they go home and their wife's going, how was your day? Oh, it was okay, except for this one guy. And then they go to a cocktail party that night. And then they go to 2 birthday parties. And they just feed that story over and over and over and over. And by Monday, they are exhausted. Because they've just been thinking about me for 72 hours. And I haven't given them a second of my life. And when they come back on the battlefield on Monday, shit. Advantage me, done. Right? I don't even gotta take a swat. They are exhausted. The other one I've won before, and I've said this before, the bladder is a great weapon, and is one of the great weapons of life that I've had, right? I can go an entire day and never use a bathroom, right? I have just done that because I went on a road trip with my dad and he woke up so many times, it horrified me, and I go, I will never be that person. So I just trained myself not to go to the bathroom, and I can go, you guys know, I can go forever. Now, there's a science. Let me give you some of the science real quick. So if you want to emulate that, what I just told you, fine. If you don't put anything into the top hole, nothing comes out of the other holes, right? It's really simple. So, like I'm going, guys, well, Todd, how do you do it? Well, I'm not putting coffee in the morning. I'm not eating. I'm not putting any food in. Like, what are you talking about? I don't have to worry about getting rid of what came in. Comes in, gotta go. I don't have to do it. So how do you take advantage of that? Well, it's good at conventions, which is why in the days where I used to have to sign for 10 hours a day. Shoot. Why do you think I have so many fans sometimes? You think that everybody likes me? No. I just have the best bladder at the convention. Everybody go, oh man, I'm gonna run for 2 million, I gotta go take a piss and eat. Right? Oh man, like human functions. I'm just gonna go do it. And I'm like, I'm not. And then there was a Rob Life. I've never been at one convention in Chicago without my guys. They all went for lunch. Not me. And guess what happened to all of their fans? I don't even know who he is, but I'm getting his line, right? I don't care. They just got my line because he's here. Being there is part of the battle, just showing up, being part of the battle. But because I got the great bladder, here's the art of war. I live in Phoenix, it's 110 degrees most days. I got my desk facing the sun. I know when the sun is there, and I make sure that when the lawyers come to my house, no, you come to my house. Right? They come to my house, they always wear 3-piece suits, and I love it when it's wool, right? Because before they come in, I turn the dial down and my room gets really stuffy, right? It gets stuffy. Now, I'm a cockroach. I can live through any of that. So I make sure, and then I make sure there's this giant pitcher of water, and I make sure there's glasses, and it's right there. And then I only have one rule. When they come in, when the enemy comes in, there's only one rule. We do not leave this room till this thing is settled 100%. We take no breaks. And then we go. And I watch them, and it gets hot, and they're not used to it, and they start drinking and drinking and drinking, and I can start seeing it. I can see it in their eyes, and they get there. And do you know how many times, I can count multiple times, more than my hand here, where I have won a fight in a contract. At the very end, they go, I've heard these lines back to back. Yeah, okay, we've been here for 5 hours. Yeah, okay, fine. What's that last point? I think it's bullshit, but okay, fine, you can have it. You can have it. Where's your bathroom? Because not only were they drinking, sometimes I poured them to drink even better, right? Like here you go, because I knew they would not be able to outlast my bladder. So I get contract concessions because I've got a camel bladder, right? So I don't, again, 200 years ago, the way you won those is with death and destruction. I wish that could have been it, but it's illegal to kill your enemy, and it's frustrating at times, right? So I can't do it. So what do I do instead? I put out my own products that are out here, and I go and I rail against the system. It's what I do. I will till probably the day I die encourage everybody at all times to go and try and do your own thing at least once. Right? And I say that from a place where I know how good it can be. Right? The biggest frustrating thing that we all experience is when we are not in control of our own destiny. That somebody's making a decision about how much money you're going to make, when you're going to make it, when you have to do stuff, when you get to travel. Like, somebody has power over you. And it can be, if they're making good decisions, it's okay. But as soon as they start making bad decisions, or they don't want to give you credit for ideas that you do in your own hard work, and you got blind bosses and blind managers, right? Those are tough. Those are tough. The easy answer is to sort of go, can I figure out a way to do something on my own? Right? And I've been fortunate enough, and I am grateful every day of my life, my family is, for the people for 40 years that have given us their hard-earned money at any time, so that I can be afforded a life that I get to enjoy. And I wish it upon everyone. And I wish they could all taste it once. You guys could taste it once. But here's the other thing I found in my 40 years. Personality comes into it. And that's the thing that breaks my heart the most. I could write the blueprint to some extent, but the majority of you sitting in this room won't be able to take advantage of it because you're not built for it, mentally. It's just a personality, right? And I get credit for things, doing things that, nice things. People say, oh, Todd, you're so tenacious, you're so... I disagree. I disagree. You are projecting your personality on me. What I do is effortless. Why? Because I'm just Todd. This is how I've always been since day one. Since day one. There's never been a day where I haven't been like this. So it's just natural that I do it. You guys see it differently than I do. My goal isn't the wall. My goal is behind the wall. I set my goal and it's behind the wall. And then I go, oh man, there's a wall. And I only got a couple choices. I either go around the wall, I go over the wall, or I go through the wall. I don't care. But my goal is on the other side of the wall. And then I get there and I get credit for going through a wall. The wall is irrelevant to me because the goal is on the other side. Right? And you guys go, man, I would never do that. I would never have that tenacity, whatever else. I don't know. You just have to not give power. I don't give power to anybody for any decision that I make, because I can't. I just won't do it. And I said before that my easy sort of evaluation of whether you have the goods to be an entrepreneur is a simple question, and it might be overly simple, but have you ever been the first one on the dance floor? And if the answer is no, you might not be built for it. Because the answer is why? Why were you never the first one? I have, plenty of times. It shouldn't surprise you, right? Because you know what the goal was? The goal wasn't to worry about anybody in the room to prove whether I danced good or bad. The goal was to dance with my wife. Hey, you want to go out tonight and you want to go dancing? Oh, I'd love to, Todd. That's the goal. And then 9 o'clock comes, boo, and the band starts to play. Honey, let's go dance. Was there nobody else? My wife is a little bit shy. There's nobody else up there. I don't care. If they want to all sit down for the next 3 hours, our goal is to dance. Let's go dance. Let's go dance. Let's have a good time. And if everybody in that room thinks I'm the best dancer or the worst dancer, it's irrelevant to me. It's irrelevant because it's not the goal to get the approval of strangers, let alone, I don't even know who these people are. What do I care? That guy probably from Ohio, right? So, what do I care? So, the goal is to dance. Let's dance. I don't have any control. Name's Todd, the only around to God. I don't have any control over any other human being. I only have control over my actions. So, we're here to dance, let's dance. And we're going to dance. And then here's what happens. Then the second people come out, they got a little bit of bravery, the third bravery, fourth, and then you have the people who wait till the whole floor is packed, and then they go, why? Because then it's easy. Because then nobody will see me, and if I dance funny, and you're giving power to strangers in that room that you will never, ever meet, ever again. Ever. I won't give that to people. to prevent me from dancing with my wife, the love of my life, because I'm worried about some strength? Never. I won't give them that power. We're going to dance. And if they don't want to, I don't give a shit. And you move on. The same mentality I take in the comic books. I'm just going to grind and grind and grind. You can keep flashing all these as I'm talking, because I'm not going to get to all of it. This is just some of the comic books we're going to be coming up with. So we're taking dim the overlights that are there. We got Naval Swamp, we just sort of did some cool stuff with the toy there, but we've got all the characters we're going to expand there. Knights and Samurai with David Dashmousen, who is a talented actor here, who's just wrapping up a series with there's one of my favorites here. Jonathan Glapion is downstairs, right? He has been an inker forever. So he's actually one of those guys too. He's a good man. He's been around me a long time. But it's like, I see his artwork, and he's been inking. He inked the vast majority of Drake Grapefruit and Scott Snyder's Batman, right? He's phenomenal. A phenomenal inker, and he's helped me on a bunch of things, including sponsor. But I saw his sort of sketchbook and these weird, funky drawings. I go, you should be doing artwork. What are you just inking for? You should be going, well, nobody gives, like, I don't give up, then I'll give you covers. You got to get your artwork out. People got to see it. And then eventually I gave him the covers, other people started giving him the covers, and then now you got a book, and now he's going to get to do the artwork. He gets to actually ink himself and do the artwork and whatever else, and now he's got lots of kids, and I'm going, he loves his wife a lot, because every time I meet him, there's another kid, it seems like. So, cool. And he's not even Mormon. And I'm going, he loves that woman. So I go, okay, so he's got lots of babies to feed. And I go, you can feed babies more if you're doing the writing, the penciling, the inking, and you do some of the other stuff that's in there, because that's how you get it. Let me tell you, the most money I ever made in my career at Marvel comic books per page rate, was $125. $125. That was the max. When I asked for more, they said we can't, because we have another artist that gets $125, and if we give you more, they have what they call a most favored nations contract, which basically means we give you more, we got to give him more. And they didn't want to give him more. And I'm like, whoa, he's not selling $1 million a month. I'm selling $1 million a month, right? And it's like, okay, which is one of the many reasons why we end up sort of leaving. I ended up leaving, going to Image Comics. So people go, and especially crazy, how did you get there? How did you get there? With $125 a page, to do the math easy. It was easy. It wasn't. That's not what kept the money rolling. It was, I was getting royalties on that book, and we were selling over $1 million a month, and I was getting the royalties as the writer and the penciler and the inker. I was getting all three. There was only 3 people that got royalties: writer, penciler, inker. I was getting all of it on $1 million a month book, and I got to keep my artwork, and I got to sell my artwork. Right? That was it. That 125, that was chump change. Barely kept us alive, right? So it had to be the other stuff. But I knew that if they wanted to boot me or any of my friends off our books at any time, that all of that would go away at their whim. They were going to be in control of our life, right? And it was one of the reasons why I left, at least, when I got the spark from Rob Liefeld and Eric Larson, who's downstairs too. I just said hi to him, good man. And we decided to go off and do our thing. Let me tell you, none of us knew at that time that we were about to do something that was going to disrupt the industry. We just wanted to do our own thing, period. That was it. That's all we wanted to do. And then we started it. All my partners served a purpose along the way in hindsight as I get older. Rob Liefeld, we needed Rob Liefeld because you need a match to start any fire. And that guy has more energy than any, you think I got energy? Woo! He puts me to shame. Rob Liefeld is just bounces. He is great. He was like my little brother, and I was envious at how much unbridled enthusiasm. And you need that when you're going to start any project. The person who is just blind to just go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Eric Larson was the guy that was going to do steady artwork. What? Tell him I'm not going to make it. Eric Larson's the guy that comes in and is going to basically do like the steady work of getting the dragon out, and he was just the most focused guy of all of us are just going, to this day, Eric Larson's the most focused. He's done every single issue of the Savage Dragon, right? Pencil and ink, except for one, and I'll tell you how focused he is, except for one. One time early in our Image career, we swapped books. I don't know if any of you old folks are here, but like, remember we swapped books. I think I did Cyberport. Mark Silvestri did an issue with Spawn. We did swap. Jim Lee swapped with the Dragon. So Jim Lee drew an issue of the Dragon, and Eric Larson drew an issue of Wildcats. I think that one might have been issue about, let's say, 20, 25 for Eric. And I would talk to him, and he'd be up to issue 140, and that killed him. Because like every one of my issues is me, except for that goddamn Jim Lee issue. I didn't have the heart to go, I thought it was pretty sweet. I thought it was pretty sweet, and everybody had been cool with most of your stuff. But like, and he was like, and he got so worked up over, I don't know if you guys know, I mean, if you go look, he finally just, I think he was up at issue 120, I don't even know what he was at. He just got, it just created an ulcer of him, that he just goes, I'm redrawing it. I'm going to draw what? The Jim Lee issue. Issue 25? Yeah, so he stopped his book so he could redraw issue 25, so he could insert it into his lineup, so he could take the Jim Lee stuff and throw it out the door so that he could have that continuous run that he wanted to. And that's the focus of him. Like most of us would go, Jim Lee does us a favor? Woo! Right? Shoot, Jim, you want to come do an issue of Spawn? I'll take it any day, right? So he did that. I've always said the golden boy was Jim Lee, because he was at the top of his game when he left Marvel Comics, so he brought the prestige of all of that. Jim Valentino was the guy who was the independent guy. They came in there, and then Mark Silvestri, to this day, because I was just with him last week, is like, you know those people that no matter how heated anything gets, there's a calm voice in the room? And just the way they talk soothes you. Like and we've had some pretty good behind closed doors, rock'em sock'em fights amongst all of us during those early years. And Mark was always the calming influence that was there. So we all served a purpose towards what it was that we were trying to do. And then eventually we had the good fortune of being able to now hire good creative people that not only will come and work on our books, but will do their own books, right? And I said before, here's what happens: you come work for Marvel or for Image Company, you own 100%. You get all. If somebody wants to make a hat, T-shirt, movie, video game, or that you get 100% of that. We don't take any of it. And we take a flat fee. We take the same fee for every single book you ever like. It's for us doing the accounting and the shipping and the printing and all the boring accounting stuff, all the stuff that creative people don't want to do. It's a flat set fee. Everything else for the rest of your natural life is yours. Now, seems like kind of like an anti-business move. Image Comics, to this day, 32 plus years into it, we own nothing on paper. We own nothing. Why? Because we gave it away to all of you who wanted to do books for us. Why? Because that was the deal we gave ourselves. And the moment we made the deal for ourselves, the first thing we said is this deal will be the same for anybody that walks in the door. So everybody that walks in the door gets the same deal as the original founders. Right? Not only I said it before, Robert Kirkman said it, not only the best deal in comic books, is the best deal in entertainment, period. Because you go to iTunes, they'll let you keep your music, but they'll take 30%. Like, right? For being a facilitator? No. I think our flat fee, depending on your average sale, is probably going to be maybe 3% at best. Right? The 97% is yours, and if you go sell like all that Walking Dead money, Robert Kirkman, you can get a penny of it. That was Robert's. Why? He should get the fruits of his labor. If he's going to work, he should be able to provide for his family. It's his work. It's his effort that he should be getting the rewards of it. And that's why, no, it's true. It's true. Here's one of my great joys. We did a Image Expo, and in the Image Expo, I was walking around, I think it was in Oakland or someplace, And I was walking around and I went, oh my goodness, look at this. It literally was a mini convention, just like here, just a mini version of it. And I was going, oh my God, look at. And then I had the epiphany. And I went, wow, I can literally go outside right now, get hit by a bus, and it won't matter. And that was actually put a smile on my face, right? Because all you want is to start things and hope that they outlast you and they keep going. And how do I know that? Because many of us in this room have children, right? And we only really have one wish for our children, that they outlive us, right? We don't want to see them go before us. It's heartbreaking. I've been there before with some people that we know. It's heartbreaking. So what you want to do is go, the natural progression of life is, start it, give birth to your creative children, just like your real children, live a good life, go and hope that you've given them enough tools so that they can go on and they lead a meaningful life. That's what I had that moment at that expo that goes, it doesn't matter anymore, Todd. You can be irrelevant, and that's cool. If I had one wish today, I wish that talking about leading a good life in comic books, I wasn't one of the handful of people that have succeeded at the level I have for as long as I have. I wish there was 100 of us. Why? Because 100 people talking the gospel can spread the word better than 2 or 3. And I don't get it. It's my one thing that I just like, and part of it is that Robert Kirkman and I put our heads down and we did our comic books. We've got hundreds of issues of our comic book, and we've created brands, and it all sort of spills out, and you can't do it by doing 3 issues, 5 issues. You can sell it to Hollywood, yes, and you're not going to give you a good deal, but you're not going to be able to take those 4 or 5 issues and cut it up into the same number of iterations the way that Robert Kirkman was with Walking Dead with 193 issues. And that's where he made his money. You ask Robert Kirkman, he didn't make his money on Walking Dead. He made his money on reprinting his books while The Walking Dead was popular. That was, I hope you don't mind, that wasn't millions, ladies and gentlemen, that was tens of millions. By reprinting his books, that he'd already done the work, that he'd done it over and over. And I'm not saying that everybody does it, they're going to get those same rewards, but think about a fraction of that, and that you're in charge of your own idea. And given that all of that's doable, I've sort of built mini empires in a couple different industries, that all that stemmed from me going, man, I created that Swan character when I was 16, when I was a kid living up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm going, oh, and it just sort of spilled out from it, and I hope that I'll have 5,000 characters before the time I die. All these other books keep coming out. Okay, cool. I'm not saying it's all going to happen, but even a fraction of that is a great life, and yet I look at my peers, and I can't count the number of books hardly that have reached 50 issues at Image Comics. 50. That's a compendium. You guys know what a compendium book is? A big fat book, right? That's 50 issues. So minus some of us that are there, there's only a handful of books I think we came up with. Me and Eric Stenson, the publisher, we came up with 4 or 5 books that I think have crossed that threshold in 30 plus years at Image Comics. 30 plus years, we could come up with 5. That means once every 6 years, one creative person in our community is getting there to 50 issues. That's 4 years and 2 months of your life. 4 years and 2 months. You know how many of my peers have been in this business for longer than 4 years and 2 months? The majority of them. They've given that time to the competitor, but they haven't given it to themselves. And if they could get to that point, they would have a compendium, and it would mean then that you've now got a brand and it can go. So we could count 5 compendiums that we could maybe do if we wanted to push it. Right? I just, on the plane here, wrote issue 360 of Spawn. I can do 7 myself. And in a year from now, I'm going to have Gunslinger, Scorch, and I'm going to have King Spawn. I'm going to have 3 more. I'm going to have 10. I'm going to have 10, and the rest of this industry, minus my partners, will have half of what one individual did. Now, either I'm phenomenal and I'm Superman or whatever, or they're just not following the path that I think is just readily staring them down. You don't have to do 360 issues of your book. I'm a crazy man, I get it. But 50, that's the one that will cement you. Because every book that got to 50 got outside of comic books, got outside the bubble. And the bubble is comic books. Outside the bubble, everything else. Hats, t-shirts, video games, TV shows, anime, movies, I don't care. Outside the bubble, because that's your neighbor, right? You get outside, that's the place that people want. I don't say to people, hey, this is Robert Kirkman, and I talk about comic. They don't care about comic books. But I say he's the creator of Walking Dead, boom. Instant recognize name, or at least his brand. Why? Because they watched it. They got outside the bubble, they watched it, right? But they never read a single issue of it, right? They never read a single issue. So it's a trigger to get outside to the world. And once you get outside to the world, that's when it happens. That's the magic. That's the magic that you want to get, right? We're all going to get old. And I try to instill this to my own children. Please plan for the day you're going to get old. Because it's coming for us. Every day it's coming for us. So here's the best sort of follow-up to that. Myself and Robert Kirkman, and now Brian came on, a couple other, but if you've got hundreds of issues of your own book, I can reprint those till the day I die, and it's called mailbox money. And the best money you can make, especially when you're old, is mailbox money. And that means you get up, you hork a little bit because you're old, you stretch because you don't move very good, life gets a little tougher when you get older, manual labor gets really tough as you get older, and you just walk out to the mailbox and there's a check because you reprinted work that you did 20 years ago. Come on, money for nothing and chicks for free, right? So Dire Straits wrote about it. So when they sang about it, come on, it's a good life. But you're not going to get that working for the big guys. You can't. You can't. I can't have the same life that I've had right now. Robert Kirkman can't have the same life he had right now if both of us were still working for Marvel or DC. I give you a little bit. I get a little bit off Venom. I get a little bit, but not enough to sustain a way that I can then feed my family, put them through college, and do the things that I was able to do on my own. And it's I guess was there 100 of us speaking the gospel up there? You can keep slipping. No, I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying they're going to show some cool stuff. We got lots of books here. We're going to be announcing all of these. Eventually, you're going to be able to read them with Nick. We got lots of cool people that are coming, with lots of the characters that are coming, with lots of the good artists that are coming. Oh, 177. That's okay. You guys know why it's called 177? Because I created Spawn in 1977. When I was a kid, when I was 16 years old, and it's based on my drawing from when I was 16 years old. We just came out with a toy. We just came out with a toy that was based on my drawing when I was 16 years old, right? And people go, that doesn't look like Spawn. It's like, it did when I was 16, right? So, and he kind of looks kind of the same, right? I didn't really change him all that much. I mean, he didn't have the skull, didn't have the chains. I sort of added all that, but he had yellow eyes. I don't know why. But that was my guy. I got a 40. Let me ask you a question. Let me see, because Eric Stevenson bugged me about it. He goes, hey, Todd, when you get to issue 400, and we're only 40 issues away from it. When I was 16, I was doing this, and I met my wife, Wanda. I did my first comic book, and I never finished it. It was a 40-page story of a character called Spawn. And I was 16. I still have it. Like, people go, man, you got that story? Like, well, who was I giving it to? It's crap, right? So, but he said, you should finish that book. So let me ask you, if I actually went and finished inking and coloring it and putting it on nice paper and doing all the things, minus that the drawing isn't spectacular because I was 16 or 17, but I put all 2024 or 2025 technology on top of it, would you guys buy that? Yes. Oh man, suckers! I'm giving you my be like, man, shoot, here we go.
No, but it's about your mind at that time and how you thought. And so it gives us insight, right, as to that person.
He's out in
Because
space.
we know this person.
Okay, well,
it's that person.
what time we have? Can I go over up to some questions?
Yeah, 20, actually, that would be at 20 minutes, so I definitely think.
Okay.
And that design is badass.
Yeah, no, it's a 16-year-old. Look at, let me tell you the design, what was going through my mind when I was designing Spawn. And it should come as no surprise once I tell you, it should be sort of self-evident. It was completely generic. It's completely generic when you look at it. Because I was collecting, I was new to comic book, and I thought, man, what does everybody have? Oh, they wear masks. Okay, so I put the mask on them, right? Because that's it, superhero. They can't know your identity. You got to put on the mask. I mean, I knew there was Flash and Batman and that, but to me it was like, no, you got to have a mask. So you got to hide your identity. And then it was like, well, they all fly around or do something, but they all got capes. Man, I'll put a cape on them. That'd be cool. Check. Oh, they all have symbols, right? The Flash and Batman and Superman, they all got symbols, right? He's got a symbol. I don't know if you guys know, that symbol is an M, right? For Malvolgia, it also is McFarland. I'm just, I wonder if anybody knows I put my name on this thing here, right? So it's an M, right? It's an M on his chest. And then I go, oh, they have belts, right? There was no patches and pouches and all the other stuff that some of the X-Men guys in Rob Liefeld sort of immortalized. And then you had just boots. Done, out, boom, done. It was, and oh, they wear gloves, right? I mean, this is about as basic. If you look at like 1945 superhero designs, it's way closer. I gotta tell you, it's way closer to that, right? But then, in 1992, when I had to come up with my own book, and I always wanted to do Spawn, I just had to sort of sex them up a little bit. So I go, we'll add the skulls up here, we'll add some chains, we'll add some spikes, because it's kind of super sassy. Right, it looks cool because who doesn't like any of that? And then I'll just update them a little bit. But the overall premise, even the logo I created as a kid, had Spawn and it had a skull in the middle of the A. Even all the way back. I gave it to Tom Morzikowski when he created the first one. I go, here's what you know when I was a kid. And they put it in there. And so it's pretty amateurish, really, if you actually look at it, right? And you guys I just have tricked you because I just make the cape really big and you guys aren't paying attention that it's actually a funny-dunny sort of design at the end of the day. Let me also add to some of you, the costume was never intended to be alive and to be able to move. That was never part of the story, right? But you have to, in life, you have to make lemonade out of your lemons. And here's my lemon. I, to this day, am the worst person at referencing my own work. I just did it. I was writing an issue of Sam and Twitch, and I go, I know they're going to a farm, and I named it like 4 issues ago, and I don't remember. I'll just call it McGinty's, right? But I don't know, because if you guys read it, you go, why'd you call it Thompson's farm, and now it's McGinty's? And I'm like, because I'm lazy on that part. It's just like, I got work to do. I got deadlines. How do you get 360 issues up? So I guess, in my first couple issues, I started putting on like the pad. Remember I said I started putting some of the cool stuff that was now modern, right? We started putting pouches and stuff on. And then they sit there and they go, I started getting the letters. And people would write letters. There was no internet. They write letters and they go, how come he had his pouch on his left leg, but now he's got it on his right leg? And how come he had like 8 spikes and now he's got like 12 spikes? And look at, there's only, I said before, there's only 2 answers when you're young and you're trying to aspire. You either say, because it's alive, and it moves, and you can do what it wants, or you say, I fucked up. There are certain choices in life, when they meet you, are kind of easy choices. Like, when you look left and right, you go, guy, are we going to say that like I'm so dumb and lazy that I can't even reference my own from page to page in the same issue? I'm just going, I know he does have patches, but I can't be bothered to look at the previous page. Oh, no. Okay, cool. No, because I got a deadline, I just got to get it done. I get very myopic, I put my head down. So that was it. The reason that his costume is alive is now literally the entire sort of backdrop of his mythology was because I just messed up. I was lazy. I had plenty of it, right? And then it's funny because later on, like this character I designed, people have come up to me post that design that I did when I was 16, 17, and they go, did you get Spawn's design from the Prowler? Have you ever seen the Prowler?
Yeah.
I actually even drew it in Spider-Man. People bring it to me. Yes, he's got a cowl.
And then you draw it.
Yeah, I drew him. He's got the markings on the eye, he's got the capes and whatever else, and it was like, what? Like, I wasn't even collecting comic books till 16, so I don't even know what the Prowler was at that point when I designed that. It's like, no, you guys got it backward. I created that, and then I was channeling that on Prowler, right? And then later on, earlier before that, I was doing a book called Infinity Inc., and there's a character I created called Mr. Bones. Go take a look at that dude, right? Red cape. Right, he's got some skulls here. He's got black, and like, and then you're going, okay, you're gonna see that I was channeling that dude again in a little bit of my work over at DC Comic Books, where they think that somehow I did that and then I went and I created Spawn in 1992. No, it's the other way around. I was just going in that circle, sort of channeling all of what we did there. But the goal now for me is, given that. We're up to 360, we hope to go to 400 and 500 and keep going and going and going, is to try and give as much opportunity to new people as possible. I pride myself in discovering new people, and I do it every day. So if you got a portfolio, give me your contact and I'll look at it. Because my job is to find talent every day. I'm going to be going up and down Artist Alley going, how much do I got to pay you? How much do I got to pay you? How much do I got to pay you, right? Like, and give them a fair wage. When I hire people across the globe, I assume they live next door to me. I don't care if they live in a poverty-stricken country. I'm not going to take advantage of that. Marvel in DC, sadly, do. They know they live in a country where they can get them for half price. I find that a bit distasteful. That a page is either worth $125 or it's not. You don't get to go, oh, they live in Bolivia, let's only give them 50. 50, yeah. So shame on that. So because of that, I got a lot of people, good talent working for me because they're like, man, Todd, you pay us way more than we ever get at Marvel and DC. Good on you, because they got babies to feed too. Nothing wrong with that. And then if they want to take their reputation on Spawn and go and do their own stuff someday, or go to one of the big two and demand a higher page rate, I don't know, good on them. Hopefully they'll do it. And they'll start their own thing, or they'll be up on stage 5 years from now. My wish, like I said, is there's somebody in this crowd right now who hasn't started an idea that 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, you guys are going to be the ones up on the stage. Because if you can give your hallelujah speech, well, I did it, right? Let me tell you, this is, I'm not trying to be humble. I'm saying, there's nothing I've done that isn't replicatable. Put your head down, do the work, and go. And the great thing about doing 360 issues of any character, or 100 issues of any character, or 50, get to 50, is that at some point you cross a magic threshold. And the threshold is they just like the character. So, let's see if we can do this experiment. For all of you that like Batman, what issue could DC put out? Or what artist could they put on that book that would disgust you so much you hate Batman from that issue forward?
Barbie.
Huh? Yeah, no, there isn't one. You're a Batman fan, and you just go, well, they're not all home runs, and you just sort of go, that's it. So you get to the magic place that not only can you now make errors and not be perfect, but the audience is going to be forgiven because they go, wow, the body of work is good and we like it and we just think he's cool and whatever else. So everything doesn't have to be perfect, and it's liberating once you don't have to basically be chasing, it's all going to be perfect because I can get my career up and my career up and my career up and my career up. Once you sort of get to a moment where your career is sort of made and your character is made, you get to just have fun and go across the board and just enjoy it. So we got a couple minutes we can open up to questions if anybody's got some.
10 minutes and then we gotta go.
And then we gotta go. So if anybody got some questions, you guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that one? Oh, let me take that. I don't know if it's there.